for Charlie George, who can hit them. Oh, look we go! Charlie George!
Discussing Arsenal football. This is Brian's review show.
Henry! What a goal! Inspiration for Arsenal from Thierry Henry.
And hello there, you're very welcome to Brian's Arsenal Review Show, Episode 2. And this is a podcast discussing the ups and downs, the highs and lows of being an Arsenal supporter in a season, reviewing and previewing some of the big games of the season. And the very first episode talked about the previewing the game against Southampton and what it's amazing what a week in football can do. Since I chatted to you last, we lost to Southampton 1-0 at St Mary's Stadium in a very disappointing outing for Arsenal. There was no question about it, but we certainly bounced back in style last night with a very emphatic and much welcome victory over our London rivals Chelsea at Stamford Bridge last night on a scoreline of 4-2, and that gives us a huge amount of confidence and belief going into the last couple of games of the season. The 6 games left in the season now, and our next game, of course, is against Manchester United at the Emirates Stadium on Saturday, the early kickoff. So it'll be huge excitement, huge anticipation for that game. But what a roller coaster of a week this week. We're going to talk very briefly about the Southampton game last weekend for just a couple of minutes. Then we're going to go straight into the action from last night against Chelsea, which was really a really roller coaster ride of a game, it must be said. Nothing like Arsenal to get the heart pumping, there's no question about it. And then we'll briefly discuss and preview the Manchester United game at the weekend as well, which is also a very important match for our season. So stay tuned and hope you enjoy this podcast episode covering Arsenal football. Now, all podcast episodes for Brian's Review Show will be available on YouTube, Google Podcasts, Acast, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and also Spotify and Amazon Music as well. So plenty of places available to listen to all the podcast episodes that are here on Brian's Review Show. Any likes, subscriptions or shares or comments are greatly welcomed, and you can also check out Brian's Review Show page on Twitter as well. If you want to add further comment into the podcast, you're very much welcome to do so. But we'll get stuck into it and we'll go straight back to the game on Saturday, which was a Southampton victory over Arsenal. A disappointing outing, it must be said, in many ways. It was just one of those games that just didn't quite go our way. We had a couple of chances, if you go back to that game. I think the team selection on the day was, I think we started in Nketiah up front, and I was very much on for that. I think Lacazette, although he didn't make the squad, there was rumours of, possible fallout or COVID or, whatever was the case, he was missing for the Southampton game. We needed to try something different up front, I think. In fairness to Arteta, the manager, I think he did that by starting Eddie Nketiah up front alongside Martinelli and, Saka as well. So bringing in Pepe and Smith around the second half made sense, but we just could not get a breakthrough. We had so many chances in the game, particularly the Saka chance in the first half was just a nice bit of football from Arsenal. I think the thing that struck me the most from comparing the two games from Southampton, the Chelsea game, was Eddie Nketiah's pressing up front. He's got what he has that Lacazette probably doesn't have is pace and just that kind of bit of, I suppose, guile in many ways. Lacazette's there's a lot of positives to his game, but Nketiah just has this pressing pace. Like if you recall the chance that Saka had against Southampton, the save that Forrester made, it was a great save. There's no two ways about it. The cross from Martinelli was, just was always going behind Saka, but the initial tackle that Nketiah made to win the ball back to allow Martinelli to cross the ball to Saka was, I suppose, kind of an outlook to what was coming against Chelsea for the very first goal in particular, just the way that they won the ball high up the field. It was just an interesting prospect to look at. To compare these two games, I don't think a performance it was particularly bad against Southampton. Like when you think of the chances Southampton had in the game, they really didn't have many chances. Like the goal that we conceded against Southampton, listen, was a great goal from their centre half, Benerick, but like our defending wasn't the best. Ben White went down. He kind of was deciding whether to stay down or approach the ball, and he kind of was caught in two minds, and it just went into the goal. I wouldn't really blame Ramsdale for the goal. It came from a corner kick. I wouldn't really say it was from a set piece either, because it was kind of the second phase of play, but just we were caught out in the back, and Gabriel was caught out a bit too, and Cedric as well. Just positioning was a big problem there, I think, for Arsenal. Like if you look at that goal, they came in way too easy, and there was so much space for Benrick to finish off that chance. But yeah, as I said, listen, it was really just a poor lapse of defending. But I think the most frustrating part of that game was the fact that we gave away the goal just before half time as well. It was such a killer, like, because we had to come out then. In the second half, we had so much possession in the second half. I think there was one point we had 80% possession to their 20%. That's the team away from home, like, so. Just we could not score. Like, there was some chances. Saka almost, hit into the bottom corner past Forrester. I think it was one of the chances in the second half. Just didn't quite curl in enough for him. Another day might have, but it didn't quite go in this time. There was some bits of very good football from Arsenal in the second half. I think Pepe also had kind of a half chance as well. Kind of a bit of creativity that he kind of gives something different up front when he comes off the bench. That was probably something we were lacking in previous games. Smith Rowe had a seriously brilliant chance. There was a cross in, I think it was from Saka's side. He crossed it in, and it just came beautifully to Smith Rowe, and Smith Rowe kind of he half kicked it, and just Forrester made it was a decent save from Forrester. Like, there's no two ways about it. The Forrester, the Southampton goalkeeper, but Smith Rowe would be disappointed the way it ended up in terms of the chance and the finish. But listen, that's the luck of the draw. Sometimes it was a good save from Forrester. It was a big chance for Arsenal. Forrester had so many saves. He stopped a couple of chances from Saka as well in the second half. I think those Southampton players were trying to call a couple of balls in from Arsenal offside, but they were clearly onside. There was no offside whatsoever from an Arsenal player, and the save, there was kind of a half chance from Odegaard as well in that same bit of play that kind of went just outside the goal as well. So, like, we had chances in the second half, we just could not finish. And as I said, the chance that Pepe had as well was another big one as well. But it was a disappointing performance from an Arsenal perspective. I suppose the thing that really, pissed off a lot of Arsenal fans, I think, was basically the Cedric free kicks in the first half. We had two great positions for free kicks in the first half, and he just makes an absolute meal of both of them. And it was really, really fucking frustrating, to be honest, because, like, there were two great positions for Arsenal to get a goal from, and it didn't materialise to anything. And that was a big frustration for sure. Xhaka also had a great chance in the second half. So it was a decent save from Forrester. Xhaka, one thing he always gives you from a shot is that bit of power on his left foot, and it was very much a decent save from Forrester. But again, it was another big chance for Arsenal. We didn't take it. Listen, Southampton got the win, and great win for them. Hugely disappointed for Arsenal because, as people will recall, Tottenham had lost earlier that day as well, so it was a huge opportunity for Arsenal to level on points with Spurs after they lost to Brighton 1-0 at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We just couldn't we couldn't convert our chances enough to get a goal, even to salvage a win or a draw or any sort of point. But the big thing I would take from the Southampton game was the goal we gave away. Like, defensively was really disappointing. That whole Cedric free taking process was disappointing. I thought Tavares, to be fair to him, like, he's just that bit of rawness in his game. I think very much his strength in his game is very much attacking more so than defence, and I think that came up a good bit too against Chelsea last night as well. But, like, that game against Southampton, it was very much a frustrating game. Like, if you look at, like, some of the stats from that game, Arsenal had 6 shots on target compared to Southampton's 2. We had 12 shots then off target, and possession wise, we had 76% possession in the whole game, like to Southampton's 24%, and we had no offsides, and just a really infuriating game. Like from an Arsenal point of view, just because we dominated the game possession wise so much. Southampton didn't really test Ramsdale in the game too much, and yeah, it was a big disappointment. But listen, with all the gloom and everything that came from that game against Southampton on Saturday, came such huge um, positivity and a huge lift for Arsenal. We went into this game against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge on Wednesday night expecting. I think some Arsenal fans were hoping for a reaction to our three losses to Crystal Palace, to Brighton, and to Southampton, and we certainly got that for sure. It was a huge result for Arsenal. Listen, that this result could provide so much confidence and momentum going into the last couple of games of the season to try and clinch top four. We're level now, finally, on points with Tottenham, both on 57 points, and the only difference between the two sides is the goal difference. That Tottenham are on plus 18, whereas Arsenal are on plus 10. Now coming into the weekend, Arsenal have Manchester United at home at the Emirates, whereas Tottenham have an away fixture to Brentford, which is a tough game in itself. That's at 5:30 on Saturday, and Arsenal's game is at 12:30 on Saturday as well. So by the time Saturday ends, we'll have a fairly good idea where Arsenal stand in terms of the race for fourth place. Boy, oh boy, like, where do I start with this game against Chelsea? I think for the neutral, it was very much a great game to watch. But my God, from an Arsenal perspective, fans' perspective, it was bloody heart wrenching at times. Some of the football, like, was just like some brilliant football, some such risky football at times from Arsenal. It really was. Like the first couple of minutes in the game, like there's a point I remember when a cross came in from Chelsea, and Gabriel, it just went over Ramsdale's head. It was from a corner, in fact, and Gabriel cleared it off the line. That ball, that corner, was dipping into the goal over Ramsdale, and it was such a huge moment in the game because that goal went in, it would have set the tempo completely for the game. But like, in all fairness to Gabriel, he was in the right spot at the right time, and he really made a crucial interception there to get the clearance out, basically. So that was a huge moment in the game for sure. Now, the first goal came in the 13th minute of the game when I think it was Loftus Cheek for Chelsea. He was kind of pressing forward, and it was a brilliant, nice little tackle from Smith Rowe. And then Tavares had a lovely ball out to the side, kind of over the top, and it was kind of a race in between Eddie and Nketiah and Christensen. Christensen just made a bit of a mess of the ball back to Mendy, the goalkeeper for Chelsea. And Nketiah was just in there like a poacher. Really worked hard. The running from Nketiah was fantastic. He really pressed hard to get that ball. That was his mission, to win that ball back. He got the ball, and a lovely little tidy finish into the bottom corner of the net from Eddie Nketiah. And like, watching the Southampton and Chelsea game, one thing I noticed was the way Nketiah was pressing from the front, and it was something that Arsenal really missed, and just that bit of style and panache, and a really composed finish from Nketiah. Like, it was a lovely little finish, but the run he made towards the ball to get ahead of Christensen, he forced the error from Christensen, and Mendy couldn't deal with it really. And the ball was just kind of in between the defender and the goalkeeper. And Nketiah came in and buried it into the corner, and it was such a lovely goal. So much to like about the goal. If you go right back to the start of the move, to Smith Rowe winning the ball off Loftus Cheek, to the little dink over the top from Tavares, then to Nketiah. It was overall a fantastic goal. And a huge goal from an Arsenal perspective to take the lead in this London derby at Stamford Bridge. It was absolutely brilliant, and fair play to Nketiah coming into the squad. A lot of pressure on the kid, and he really stood up very well in this game. And as I said, the run he made, it just forced the error from Christensen, and I think, like, the best strikers in the world, like, particularly, I suppose, Benzema is the one that stands out. Really, he does it so well. And Mbappe, of course, as well. Is that running pace and that pressing that the best strikers in the world do? And Nketiah did that last night very well, must be said, and he showed glimpses of it against Southampton as well, and just really clicked and gelled from beautifully last night. And yeah, it was a great start from Arsenal. Listen, to take the lead inside 30 minutes at Stamford Bridge, it doesn't happen too often. So all Arsenal fans at that away end at Stamford Bridge and all Arsenal fans around the world were very much delighted to see that ball end up in the back of the net. Now the first goal for Chelsea was a last loose ball. It was actually Kelly that gave the ball away, and then Werner kind of took a bit of deflection off. Like the commentators were kind of giving out a bit about Xhaka's kind of the way he faced the ball. And it was a bit unlucky, like the deflection, like Werner just kind of kicked the ball, hit off Xhaka's leg, I think, and it just hobbled over Ramsdale in the goal. And yeah, it was just a bit of a freak of all. Some of like the one aspect of Arsenal's play in the first half that was really, I suppose it was a moment that, listen, you close the fucking eyes really for it, was the fact that they lost so much ball kind of just outside their box, just before the halfway line, to some of Chelsea's pressing, but also some of Arsenal's poor passing decisions, I think, was an element in that as well. But it was just a poor time to give away the goal so soon after the Arsenal goal, the first goal from Nketiah. Like that goal went in the 17th minute, whereas Nketiah's goal was in the 13th minute. So that'd be a huge disappointing aspect that Arteta would be looking to avoid in future games, is giving away a goal so soon after scoring themselves. Like the second goal of Arsenal was probably Arteta ball at its best. Probably the fantastic aspects of it, and the very nervous aspects of it as well. Like the playoff from the back, like my God, at the time when I was watching it live, I was like, what the fuck are we doing back here? Um, Ramsdale passed it short then to Almene, and then Ben White had a ball across the goal. Then fucking Alonso got the ball back then, and Xhaka, in fairness, called for the ball, got the ball, and then for some reason decided to fuck it, let's take on the couple of Chelsea players here, and he took on, I think it was Alonso. He turned the ball through Alonso's leg, passed the ball forward towards Odegaard, who had a lovely little ball out to the side towards Saka. Saka playing towards the inside, got a bit of space again. Odegaard turned around, spotted Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe came in, bang, a lovely, tidy little finish from Smith Rowe. And at the time, I actually thought it went wide, so I wasn't sure. I said, what, did it go in? Because Smith Rowe and all the players started celebrating. I was like, oh my fucking God, it's gone in. It's 2-1 Arsenal, fantastic. But like that whole play, like it was just, it was entertaining from a neutral's point of view, but my God, from an Arsenal point of view, you're like, holy shit. Like, we just went from nearly conceding a goal stupidly down one end of the field to scoring an absolutely peach of a goal down the other end of the field. And this game, football, it's just a mad sport, really. And that goal sums it up beautifully. But what a finish from Smith Rowe. A fantastic goal, a lovely little kind of a ball that didn't really rise. It just kind of, I think it was the pace that guided it past Mendy, and just went into the bottom corner, slotted lovely in. And another great team goal from Arsenal. We've seen a couple of those, to be fair, in Arteta's reign. And Smith Rowe needed that goal, and I think Smith Rowe had a brilliant game last night. Actually, I think he worked really hard, his best game in a while, in fact, and it was great to see. And so many, like, great to see, the youngsters performing and thriving once again. And a brilliant goal. Listen, there's so much to like about that goal. The Xhaka confidence to take the ball out from the back, to Odegaard's beautiful pass into Saka's pace, to the setup from Odegaard again, to Smith Rowe's finish. It was all just fucking brilliant to see on the television, to see it live happen at that moment. In a game where we needed a response from the three losses, we showed a bit of character and a bit of balls, and a great goal from Smith Rowe to make it 2-1 to Arsenal. But that lead, of course, lasted for about 5 minutes. We gave away a second goal to Chelsea, another disappointing goal from a defensive point of view. Listen, a great ball in from Mason Mount, in fairness, and a tidy little finish from Azpilicueta. But like Arsenal's defending once again, it's just another Ben White. I know people were questioning whether he got fouled or not. Like, I don't think it was much in it, to be honest. I think it was a fair enough challenge. I know Arteta was going a bit mad about it at the time, and I get it. But like at the same time, it was soft. Really, there was nothing. I don't think there was much in it, to be fair. It was just a poor defensive goal to give away from an Arsenal point of view. Again, so disappointed to concede a goal after taking the lead in the game as well. for a second time. And we're like, oh my gosh, it's one of these daft games again where Arsenal are just going to score a goal and then we're going to concede a goal again. And just so frustrating, like, because they should never have. There was three Arsenal players around Mason Mount there at one point before he crossed the ball in, and a great finish from Aspilicueta, but he just got in front of the Arsenal defender. I think it was Tavares. I think that Aspilicueta got in front of. At half time, it was 2-2, of course, and at that point, I was thinking, I think there's more goals in this game, whether it be for us or for Chelsea. I'm not quite sure because the flow of this game, you just would not know. But I fancied us to score again at some point. It was just one of those daft football matches where it was likely that was going to happen. So, and it proved the case. There was more goals, and thankfully it was from an Arsenal point of view, and not from a Chelsea point of view. Now, the one thing I absolutely loved about this goal, first off, was the pressure and the pressing that Arsenal did. Chelsea lost the ball, kind of like as I explained how Arsenal did in the first half from that area just before the middle of the field, and Tavares was there just at the right time just to nick the ball back. And fair play to Tavares, I think that's him at his best when he wins the ball high up the field like that. Came in nice and tidy, crossed it in then to Nketiah, and Nketiah a decent first touch. Got a bit lucky then with the kind of uh, bouncing back of the ball that came right towards him again, and a nice little finish from Nketiah right in front of the Arsenal fans as well, and do his confidence the world of good. And another big goal from an Arsenal point of view. That was in the 57th minute, I think, of the game. So that was a huge goal to take the lead, and it was absolutely welcome. It was fucking glorious, let's be honest, from an Arsenal point of view. Really, really was. And very enjoyable. A great finish again from Eddie Nketiah, who got a bit, he got a bit of luck for it, but I think he earned his luck. And a great finish that slotted into the goal past Mendy. Yeah, the Tavares pressing to win the ball, and the nice little turn that Nketiah did when he received the ball, got that little bit of deflection and just slotted the ball lovely into the net. It was great to see. The last couple of minutes, Chelsea did up the danger, but I think we defended quite well overall. We rode our luck a bit. Chelsea had a couple of chances towards the end of the game. There was a couple. I remember there was a moment in the second half when Gabriel made a block. It was a sure chance, a sure goal for Chelsea, and just a fantastic little block there from Gabriel. I think it was just an absolutely nerve-wracking moment from an Arsenal point of view. Yeah, it was Alonso, if I can remember correctly, that took the shot on. But yeah, just that bit of luck that you need sometimes in a game with high intensity. Um, Now the Saka penalty incident, I know I've seen some people, rival fans, saying it was a bit of a soft penalty. Listen, I think it was a penalty, and the reason I think it was a penalty might be a bit soft. I tend to agree it is a bit of a soft penalty, but at the same time, there was like Aspilicueta was clearly having had his two hands all over Saka. That's a foul. That's a penalty all day long. And do you know what? It's hard not to like this kid. He really is such. I think all Arsenal fans really adore Saka, and he's just such a great character. And to see him score the penalty was brilliant to kind of put some of the demons to rest that he would have got from the Euro 2020 final against Italy. It was just a great moment. Sealed the game for Arsenal. We won 4-2. It was a brilliant moment. Saka going into the fans then afterwards. It was overall, listen, it was a fantastic result, fantastic performance. Credit to the manager Arteta. He made a couple of changes before the game. Brought in Mohamed El Neni in midfield instead of Lakanga. I think that worked a treat. I think El Neni added a bit of steel and just a bit of, I suppose, safeness in the midfield alongside Xhaka. I thought Eddie Nketiah had an absolutely brilliant game up front. He really showed his true colours as a performer. I think one of his best performances in an Arsenal jersey. The thing that kind of stood out for me actually in the game was the stat that came out just before the game was one goal, I think, in 29 Premier League appearances for Eddie Nketiah. Well, there's two now um, added to that collection. So credit to him, credit to Saka. I think had a great game as well. Smith Rowe, I think, had one of his best games in a long time. Because of injuries, only coming back from a series, couple of injuries, and I think he was out with COVID as well. Odegaard was back at his best again. Even Gabriel, I thought, had a decent game as well, to be fair, and at the back line. Tavares, I thought, was pretty decent as well. Rob Holding looked solid enough as well. Listen, like all the Arsenal players contributed to a fine performance. And credit to them, credit to the manager once again, a brilliant performance. we got to follow this up now. We're tied now with Tottenham on 57 points, and we got to follow this up now in a huge match on Saturday at 12:30 against Manchester United. It's a must-win game again to continue this momentum, to continue this kind of atmosphere that's built up once again, and hopefully we can do that against Manchester United. Like if you look at the table now after the round of fixtures there, you'll see that United are on they're in sixth place on 54 points, and we're on 57 points, and we have a game in hand on Manchester United as well. So if we can get a win over United, we'll be 6 points ahead of them, which would be absolutely fantastic from an Arsenal point of view. And continue that pressure against Tottenham for the top four spot. The game earlier in the season, you might recall, it was a bit of a frustrating outing. It was a 3-2 victory to Manchester United at Old Trafford. Smith Rowe got a goal early in that game, you might recall, when I think De Gea went down with injury or something, and Smith Rowe just kicked it into an open goal. But the goal was given. Vare decided to give the goal, and rightly so. I think it was the right call. Brilliant lead to get, but then Fernandes got a goal just before half time, and then Ronaldo just did his stuff and scored two brilliant goals. One from I think was a nice little move for Manchester United. We lost the ball high up the field. I think it was Perez that lost the ball high up the field, if I'm not mistaken. And Ronaldo just slotted in, and then Ronaldo got a penalty. Then later on, Odegaard fouled a United player, which made it 3-2. But before that, Odegaard actually scored for Arsenal in what was a lovely bit of skill from Arsenal, a lovely move at that time. But a lot of goals in that game. And listen, it'd be ideal if Ramsey could keep a clean sheet. He hasn't kept one now in a couple of games now in the league for Arsenal. It would be ideal if we could try and amend that and get it rectified. Like the last clean sheet that Ramsey kept was against Leicester City. Actually, it was back in the 13th of March at the Emirates. So it's a couple of games ago now. We kept a clean sheet, of course, against Villa, but remember, Bernd Leno was in goal for that game for Arsenal. Like if you look at the stats from a United point of view this season, Ronaldo's top goal scorer on 15 goals. Bruno Fernandes has 9 goals, and Greenwood, then of course, who's not in the squad at the moment for other reasons, but he's on 5 goals. Fred and Rashford then are on 4 goals. Like in terms of assists, then Pogba has 9 assists, and Fernandes has 6 assists. Then with Ronaldo on 3. United still have a couple of dangerous players like the likes of Sancho on his day can turn it on. Ronaldo if he's playing. I know he's had terrible stuff to deal with off the field, which is absolutely awful. But if he is playing, he will be a danger. There's no question about it. Fernandes will also be a danger, but Arsenal should be full of confidence after defeating Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Another time. A great time to do that. We did it last season, of course, at Stamford Bridge. We bet them 1-0, and to do it again and to do it in a better style in front of a crowd as well was most welcome and a great result for the Gunners. And let's hope that will allow a bit of momentum and confidence to come into the squad, which is badly needed for the last couple of games of the season. I think there will be goals. I'm hoping more goals, of course, obviously, as an Arsenal fan, more goals for Arsenal than for United. Ideally, it'd be great to see like a 2-0 victory for Arsenal and a clean sheet. Like I think you remember a couple of years ago when it was Arteta's first win as Arsenal manager actually at the Emirates, and I think it was Socrates and Pepe. Pepe got a lovely goal for Arsenal against United in that game as well, I recall. Something like that would be absolutely fantastic. We take that with open arms and get 3 points. So to end the podcast, let's hope that Arsenal do get 3 points against United. It will be a tough game. United have a couple of players that can't threaten. They are of course fighting to get back into the Champions League again because they have no European football either, and they will be look to bounce back from a demoralising game against Liverpool at Anfield as well. So they'll be very much out for a mission as well. But let's hope Arsenal can continue that fantastic performance that they achieved against Chelsea on Wednesday night and get that momentum going again, because we will very much need it for the last 6 games of this epic season for Arsenal chasing a European place. I'll in the podcast, and I'll have a podcast out next week discussing what happens between Manchester United and Arsenal. So keep an eye out for that. The podcast is available, of course, as I already mentioned. It's up on YouTube. It's on Acast, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Twitter, and also on Amazon Music and Spotify. So keep an eye out for that for future episodes and past episodes as well. So like and subscribe and comment. I would very much appreciate that. But for now, take care, enjoy the football, and up the Gunners.
Oh, Charlie George, who can hit him. Oh, Rodrigo! Charlie George!
Discussing Arsenal football. This is Brian's review show.
Henry! What a goal! Inspiration for Arsenal from Thierry Henry.